Everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you saw my last video, I made my April TBR, so it's only fitting that we do a book review of the books I read in March so we can kind of get a taste. Like I said, I'm going to be reading a lot of series in April, so let's kind of backtrack to see where I'm starting at. I read 7 books in the month of March, which is usual for me. I like to keep it kind of around 7. February I read 9, but 2 of those are on my Kindle. I read no books on my Kindle. I didn't finish any books on my Kindle this month. I only read physical copy books. So let's kind of look at what we read. I feel like I read so many good books this month, so I'm really excited to go through. I need to pull up my Goodreads because I can't remember exactly what I rated every single book I read, but I feel like I had a lot of 4 stars. Let's take a look here. Sorry, I didn't need to check my Goodreads. I have the app Bookmary. Do you guys use that? I love that. I love looking at the calendar and looking at the books I've read and what I rated them. And that's February. Sorry, lighting's terrible, but it's just kind of fun, and it's another way to keep track of your reading habits versus just using Goodreads. And like I said, I like this calendar that I can kind of look at and just see in general what I read. All right, starting off strong. I'm assuming I maybe started this in February. Yeah, one day into February. But this was the first book that I finished in March. We have Daisy Hates. This is the first book of her storyline in the Magnolia Parks universe. And if you know anything about me, you've seen my other videos. You guys know I'm obsessed with the Magnolia Parks series. I love Magnolia. I love Daisy. I love all of it. I rated this book a 5 stars. This was a 5-star for me. I enjoyed her and Christian's story. Her brother Julian is very intriguing. So I really enjoyed this book. If you saw my last video, you know I have her book coming up next. That is what I will be reading starting today. But I really enjoyed this book. I think what I really loved when I read this book was feeling like there was a plot and storyline. With the first Magnolia Parks, I don't think you feel that as much, but you definitely learn more about her and BJ as the story goes. Anyway, I just really connected with the characters, and that's all due to Jessa Hastings' writing. Her writing in these books is so good. It's phenomenal. You just feel the emotion so much, and that's what makes you so excited to read about these characters. The ending of this book was a ride. I'm a mother. I don't know. The ending of this was a lot to take in, and Daisy is a strong woman, and she's just really trying to make a life for herself and do the right thing. And I am very intrigued to see where the next book goes, because I really have no idea. This book did not end on good terms, so we have a lot to catch up on. That's why I need to finish the series and get it done. On the list, we have The Great Alone by Kristin Hannah. This was my first Kristin Hannah book. If you've seen my channel, I made a video just regarding this book solely. I ended up rating it a 4 stars. I kind of give my ratings based off of vibes, and it wasn't just a full 5-star for me. I read a lot of romance, fantasy. This is my first historical fiction book, and it was very detailed. Her writing is immaculate. You follow Lenny and basically her whole life, and it is traumatic and sad and happy, and just so many things happen in this book, and it's hard to wrap your head around. It's hard to read in some parts, honestly. Anna is very descriptive, almost to the point of sometimes where, for me personally, it's a little too descriptive. I felt like there would be periods we'd be reading and it was so much description, so much building, and then something big would happen and it'd be kind of a letdown. She didn't put as much into the big issue or the big scene as she did as maybe the build up to it, if that makes sense. So some parts of this book I felt kind of lacked for me. But overall, it was an absolutely beautifully heartbreaking book. You cry. You just want to hug Lenny, and you just want her to have the best life because she deserves the best life. And it does really give a fantastic look into what life was like in the 1970s, not just in Alaska, but in the world, how much was going on, and things that were very real for people, very real issues. So I enjoyed reading this book. I do want to read more of Kristin Hannah. I think I'm going to pick up The Nightingale, which would be the next one that I read. But overall, this was a 4-star read for me. I would definitely recommend it to someone like me who usually doesn't read this style of book. It was very good, and it was just something different from what I'm used to reading. Okay, up next, it looks like I read Wildfire by Hannah Grace, so let's grab that one. Here she is. Here's the thing, I do love Hannah Grace's covers. I just think they're so cute. I love the pink, I love the blue writing with it. It just looks so good. And I rated this book a 3.5. I rated this book 3.5 stars. I didn't totally love it. I didn't dislike it. It's just like a 3.5 star. You know, it's just like an easy romance read. Nothing too crazy going on, nothing too serious going on. Overall, I do like Hannah Grace's books because I really liked Icebreaker. I probably like that one, honestly, a little bit more than this one, which is unusual because I feel like everyone likes this one more. I just liked Icebreaker better, and I don't know if I know why. In the story, you follow Aurora and Russ. They go off to be counselors at summer camp, and, you know, it's probably pretty easy to figure out they're going to fall in love. So it was a good book, an easy read, nothing too crazy, just a 3.5 stars for me. Read another book in the Magnolia Parks universe in the month of March. This is Magnolia Parks, The Long Way Home. I don't even have to say it because it's already very obvious. I love this book, and it was a 5-star read for me. Oh my gosh, I went out of order. 1 second. Rewind. I read First Lie Wins first. We'll come back to that. Okay, First Lie Wins was what I read after Wildfire. Okay, sounds good. This was a 4-star read for me. I really liked this book, you guys. It makes me want to read more mystery thriller. That is what I used to read like all the time in like 2021, 2020. But I've kind of gotten away from it. So this was a really fun one for me. I turned the pages fast. I was very intrigued. I was connected to the characters. I wanted to know what was going on. I have seen some mixed reviews on this. Some people have said it kind of drags on or it gives too much, like there's too many people to follow. I think it's super necessary to know her backstory as her different aliases to understand what's going on and to make the end make sense. So you are following, in this book, you are following Evie Porter, or her real name is Luca, and she works for a man, and her job is to acquire confidential information. So she's given aliases and targets, and in this book you are following her present day and her current alias, and then you have to learn about her past aliases too, like I said, for it all to make sense. But I found it very interesting. What a career, by the way. Like, imagine that being your life. But I thought the writing was great. The ending, there was twists. I didn't see the plot coming. So I really enjoyed this book. This book gets a lot of hype. Like I said there's mixed reviews, but overall it gets a lot of hype. I think it's well deserved. It was a great mystery book for me, or thriller. But I enjoyed it. 4 stars, not a full 5, but definitely a 4. And it makes me want to continue reading more books like this. I was at the edge of my seat at some points. Like, I couldn't put it down. So we love that. Now to this one. And like I said, it's a 5-star read for me. You already saw that coming. I was ugly crying within the first 100 pages, and then within the last 5. I mean, Jessa Hastings just does that to me. You learn so much more about BJ and Magnolia in this book. So if you felt like you read the first one and you weren't totally in on it, or you didn't really understand a lot, continue reading, get to this one, because you learn so much more about them as a couple and why they are the way they are. Now, the miscommunication, still very annoying throughout this book. The way they hurt each other, still very annoying. You're rooting for the most toxic couple, honestly. But the love that they have for each other is so real, and that's what makes this book so good. And that whole series, like I said, but I have the next 2 books, so I'm not even gonna keep talking about it because I could go on and on and on and on. But Long Way Home, 5-star read for me. There you have it. Like, I really needed to switch things up from what I had been reading, even though I read like a decent amount of different genres this month. I just needed something not romance because, like I said, I was so heartbroken when I finished this book. It's just a terribly sad ending. So I needed something totally different. So I went in with the Assassin's Blade. This is me starting the Throne of Glass series. I chose to start with the Assassin's Blade. Now, very controversial topic, a very hot topic amongst the book world. And I know Miss Sarah J. Maas said that you need to not read it first. And I'm not listening to the queen. I know I'm going against what she recommends. But I kind of had to think of myself as a reader, and I don't know if I would have been lost in it by the time I reach this book, like so confused and overwhelmed and just wanting to stop. So I'm reading it first. I did read it first. I intend to read Throne of Glass in April this month. But I feel like I'm off to a good start. I really enjoyed this book. I don't exactly remember what I rated it. I want to say 4 stars. The ending really got me. I was somewhat shocked. Not totally, like how some of the parts played out. I'm like, yeah, snake in the grass. But otherwise, part of it was shocking to me. Yep, 4 stars. Not a full 5. But this was my first reintroduction to Sarah J. Maas after I finished ACOTAR. The hype, I mean, if you're on Book Talk, you know everyone's talking about these books. So I just know that I need to continue reading. There's a shit ton I need to learn. Like, there's so much more that I need to know that's going on in this books. But so far, I like Celaena Sardothien. I think she's a bad A. I want to follow her till the end. I feel very connected to her. I want to see this girl win. This girl deserves to win. But we have a long ways to go in this series. And I've said this so many times, so I don't even, like, I repeat myself nonstop. I'm intimidated by it, but I can do it. It was a 4-star read for me. It was good. And then to finish it up, technically I finished this book today, and I'm filming this on April 1st, but I'm going to count it for March because I would have finished it. I've just been so busy, and I busted butt to finish this last 200 pages. We have Binding 13 by Chloe Walsh. I just finished this like 30 minutes ago, so I am still decompressing from finishing it. The last 50 pages in this book, it'll have you. It will have you. It's hard to give a rating right now because, like I said, I just finished it. I think it would be between a 4 and a 4.5. I feel very connected to Johnny and Shannon, and I have Keeping 13, so we will be reading that soon. The only hiccups I had with this book, it does drag a little bit. Like, things don't really pick up between those two until like after 400 pages. This book is 603 pages long. And it's a lot of repetitiveness. So you're following Shannon. She's a 15 turned 16-year-old girl. Very frail, has been through a lot in her life. Like, it's terribly sad. Bullying, abuse at home, trigger warnings. She has been through a lot. And she starts at a new school where she meets Johnny Kavanaugh, who is like super famous rugby player. She has no idea. She has no idea who he is. Super famous rugby player, super popular, could have anyone he wants. He's 17, and he falls for little Shannon Lynch. And the way the story unfolds and the way that he cares about her, protects her, is beautiful. Sorry, now I'm just getting sidetracked, but it was repetitive. It was a lot of talking about how Johnny's a famous rugby player and that's like his life, and like we hear about that nonstop. But overall, it was a beautiful story. I know there's mixed reviews on this one too, but for me it was a 4-star. I'm excited to keep reading to see what I think of the next books. I recommend this book. I definitely recommend this book, and I think this book is a hard read too if you are a mother. I'm a mom. I have a 4-year-old son, and some of the things in this book, it just makes, like, I would never. We're getting choked up. Anyway, I don't want to spoil. I don't want to give spoilers, but this was a 4-star read for me. These are my books. These are my books of February, or March, sorry. When I look at these, I feel really good about it. I feel like I read a lot of good books this past month, and I have a lot of good things coming for April. I'm continuing some of these. I am starting a couple new series if you saw my last video. So I am very excited for all my reads. I feel pretty good about the 7 books that I put down, and excited to see what April has in store for us. Thank you for watching this video. Please comment, like, subscribe, you know, all the things. I want to be a part of the book community, and thank you for watching this video.